the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And you're stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys, just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basquel, and I read the original text. You know.
Oh wow, we got a scholar. And I'm John Gilardi, and I sat there sitting with a polite smile, I guess. I don't know I don't know about this movie, as we'll discuss. So what did we watch? Already know the answer to, but
this week, that's my favorite thing that we do. It's like, oh, we're gonna tease it out, what it is, what's the thing, and it's like it's already in there. It's already in. They've already seen it. They already know.
Yeah.
I still like it though. This week we're gonna talk about the repurposed, rebooted. Yeah, it's a reboot of an old Arthurian legend. Disney took the reboot and they added some of their special flair, and it's connected up to the MCU. It's Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, aka the Green Knight.
Half of that was true.
Most of it was not true. It is sort of a reboot or whatever. I thought that was funny. I thought it was a funny idea that they rebooted it from old Arthurian.
An adaptation?
It's definitely an adaptation.
David Lowery's adaptation?
Mm-hmm. David Lowery's adaptation.
I watched this at the Alamo, and for those who don't know, at Alamo, the first half hour, they just play interviews and just stuff and footage or old versions of this topic or whatever it is. I don't know, for Suicide Squad, there were clips about Polka Dot Man and all about these obscure guys. So it kind of familiarizes you with things before it. And so for Alamo, it was David Lowery, and I guess they partnered with him. So there was a bunch of interviews with him and a bunch of derivative kind of Green Knight stuff from the past and in movies and stuff. So it gave me that. And I think him doing that little thing, talking about it and its inspirations from the movies he's watched before, made it a little bit better for me. But if I hadn't seen that, I probably would have liked it a little bit less.
Okay.
But it was a lot of his inspirations for it, Willow or I'm blanking, the Dracula movie with Neo, John Wick. What's his name?
Oh my gosh, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves. That was it. Bram Stoker,
I knew exactly.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dracula. So it was cool to see those inspirations that these things had on, and it's a very specific time of kind of this tangible, but almost kind of campy, medieval fantasy sci-fi. So it's cool to then see that be directly inspiring something. It was cool to see that directly inspire something new. So that was cool.
Cool. So what did you think about it? I'm very curious. You've held off, and I kind of get the sense. I kind of get a sense of how you felt, but I just as you're watching it, as you're watching this unfold.
It felt. I mean, off just a quick.
Fucking slam it, dude.
One word phrasing or scoring of it, I'd say it was fair for me, a fair movie.
Okay.
I guess a middle. Slightly middle of the road or just better than middle of the road. And it had the kind of sense of adventure, I guess, with just this guy going out on his own, he doesn't know what he's doing, his hubris and selfishness and his lust, is kind of contradicting and holding him back, or it's exposing him for certain things, and he's dealing with the repercussions of whatever. That's all cool.
Yeah.
But it contradicts, I guess, the wonder of of finding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the character wasn't great for me. I didn't like him. I don't. Okay. Maybe I wasn't supposed to like him, but I didn't like him. And I think that was a big part of what held me back. I could go on and on, but I'm down to just scatter in my thoughts as we talk about particular things. But I guess that's kind of a quick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I sit on the other end of it where I really liked it. I really liked just the tone of it. And then I'll get on my little soapbox here for so long. And I know that I'm pretty sure that we directly disagree on this. But the sort of like the Disney, the Clive Owen, like the King Arthur, and like the Disneyfication of like King Arthur stories where they've tried to make it like fantastical and stuff like that. I'm tired of it. The Legend of the Sword or whatever that Guy Ritchie did, I couldn't even get through like the first little bit of it because it was so not what I wanted. It's like they keep trying to make with the Taron Egerton Robin Hood movie, and with that movie too, they keep trying to like, oh, we're gonna make an action franchise. We're gonna make an action like sword and sandal action franchise out of these like old things. When, like in this movie, it's really more about like sort of like the painting of the time, as well as like the sort of like, it's like a morality tale is what it is. It's like a morality tale with some fucking like spiritualism and like magic and shit. And I think that's one of the things that I'm like, for me, this was really satisfying to watch, where it was like, oh, fuck yeah, dude, here's some weird ass Celtic magic that we're going to fucking play with. And, we're going to live in this fucking weird green world. And for me, it was great. It definitely felt like reading a book. Like all of those sort of like things that were sort of like out of character, or like that like sort of broke up the sort of the rhythm of a scene, were like places where it felt like you were reading the book. Like especially specifically whenever Alicia Vikander was giving her speech when she was the lady and she was talking to Gawain about like like something that was like completely about like going out into battle or something like that. And like she's getting more and more intense as she's looking at Gawain, and she's like looking at him and she's getting more and more intense, and like Joel Edgerson's over there like, yeah, like not reacting the way that it should be. And it became clear to me that or at least the way that I perceived it was, oh, this is how he's perceiving this, like that she's talking directly to him. And then like when we did that little cutaway into the green, like the green alley, like the green alley in the middle of nowhere, and she was at the end of the tunnel, and it was just like, fuck, he's not going to be able to turn her down later. So that's what it felt like to me, where it's like, oh, we're reading a book where it's like in that moment, Gawain knew that he wouldn't be able to not pursue her further down the path that she had chosen for him or whatever.
I mean, yeah, I guess in a sense, it does feel very tied to his perspective, even though you have these outside things, and I guess that's where it like feels like a weird trip, because you're seeing things from a third party distance, but you're seeing it through someone else's experience and through his flaws and his, I don't know, his inexperience, or his naivete.
Yeah.
So I guess I didn't think about that. Maybe I just didn't like it, or I didn't like him, and so seeing it through his flaws and point of view just didn't do it for me.
Okay.
But it is. I mean, I appreciate it. Like, I'm not like, I don't think it's a bad movie or anything like that. I just didn't connect with it. I don't have that history with Arthurian stuff, or I simply just didn't connect to the characters. And
how dare you?
And in some ways, the way it's shot and the filmmaking is nice and refreshing, and it is good to look at. I think that's a big part of what kept me watching. Mm-hmm. But also, I don't know if I love it, in a it's not for me kind of way.
Yeah, that's
but
reasonable.
It's a good change of pace thing, you know, like, hey, and I was interested in watching it. I sought it out, you know. I think I saw it opening night. So
Yeah. I remember you told me, and because I don't think we talked about it all that much. Maybe I mentioned it once, but I was like, oh, wow, John's going to, because, you know, this, I don't necessarily, it's not a direct movie. You know, I don't necessarily know if I don't know. I didn't peg this as a movie that you would go out of your way to see.
yeah, I think I just saw potential in it. And I don't know, the setting was cool, and I didn't know what to expect. I was going in pretty blind, so there was just like kind of that's the general vibe there.
Yeah.
And any reason to go to the Alamo?
Yeah, I hear you. So
yeah.
you didn't like him? You didn't like him at the end? You didn't like him making his decisions at the end?
No,
the building his story.
I liked the whole flash forward thing and the vignettes and that, and then him making a decision after realizing it was all gonna suck anyways. I guess for whatever reason, due to maybe him just being a flawed person and always having issues, or he already made a lot of poor decisions.
Well,
that, you know, didn't matter how how he'd cast himself forward. He obviously made the dumb, like, I think the fact that he just went and hacked his head off just shows everything about that character, because the rules. So the Green Knight shows up for whatever reason to this like party. I think it's Arthur's birthday party. I don't know.
it's a Christmas party.
And Christmas party. And he shows up and he's like, I'm here to play a game, and he chooses a knight to fight me, and whatever damage they cause on me, I'll do to them in a year's time. And they have to seek me out. And so for some, and there's a little speech before where Arthur's like, hey, you got to make your own legend, you got to go on adventures or whatever, something like that. And so obviously there's this call to action that he feels like, oh my god, here's an opportunity. And like he even's like, do you understand the rules? And he's like, yeah, I do, or whatever. And then he goes and he just lops his head off. And it's just like, what the fuck? It's like, you're an idiot. You're so dumb. And you know, I think that right there means that guy would never really have lived a good life. And I think maybe that's, you know, he goes on a journey to maybe realize his life was over. That moment he did that, or maybe even before that, maybe he just wasn't a good person. His whatever nature and nurture got him that point. I don't think he was destined to anything. And maybe that was the message there, or the point, or his realization at the end, at least, when he's like, okay, this all sucked. I lived this life and this all blew, and it just caused more pain and whatever. So I'm just going to, you know what? I should just let him kill me.
Well, what do you think the importance of the belt was?
I think the belt was like, what was that idea that he could get through everything? So I think it was him wearing that through all these hard things, and like everything's falling apart around him, but as long as he had that, he was still fine. So it was like, I think some kind of selfishness. You know, he showed selfishness throughout the whole movie, you know, or even in the flash forward where he paid off his lover and took the kid, you know. Like, and it's like, so I think it was just, so it was just like the idea of like, I'm good, you know, but everyone else around me, whatever, but as long as I'm good. And so it was that security blanket of just being fine. I think, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's definitely about understanding that your privilege, and the things that you're given do not predicate a good life, and that you have to leave the bonds of the good things that are given to you and make your own path regardless, you know, and then accept what life is going to give you based off of whatever it is, not some magical token that you've already ruined and that you've already lost. Because that was, I think, one of the things that came back again and again, where he would lose the thing, and I was confused about it initially, especially when he did a little ghost thing. I was like, okay, he's got the axe back, and that's fine, I guess. because he like lost it. There was this whole big ordeal where he lost it, and then the ghost got him the axe back. And then the same thing happened with the belt. And then he ruined
But
it.
the shield just got smashed. The shield was just whatever.
Yeah.
Of the gifts he got.
Yeah. Because again, it's all about giving up protection. Or to me, it was like the way that he interpreted it was like all about like in order to find your honor, you have to give up protection and you have to put yourself out there with no fucking bungee cord holding you back, with no fucking extra thing. You gotta take the punishment of you being an asshole, and then fucking go. And it's really interesting, all the little nods that David Lowery did to the original. And again, I didn't actually read the original text. I read like an adaptation of it for like a children's book of Arthurian like stories. So I can't say that I went through and I found some of the original text and I translated it from like Old English, Middle English, or whatever. But in the original story, have you looked any of this up, John? Do you know
Nope.
any about this?
No, I went in blind to be blind, and then I came out not interested to.
Cool.
Like, there's tons of situations where I go in blind. I'm like, fuck yeah, and I like dive in deep. This movie, I was like, cool, that was fun.
Cool.
And so yeah.
So in the original story, I'm gonna tell you. In the original story, so same thing happens. He chops off his head, and like he's like Gawain is kind of like, well, like fucking what the fuck, dude? Because he's still trying to. He's again essentially the same thing, but he's a little bit more established. And so he goes and he searches out the Green Chapel. I don't think Arthur lets him use his sword. I don't remember. That might be part of it, but I don't remember. But so he goes and he searches out the Green Chapel, and he's like fucking tired. Same thing happens with Joel Edgerton. I don't think there's anything about the ghost. There's nothing about the other guy who steals the thing, which is cool. I really liked it. But so he goes and he hangs out with Joel Edgerton and Alicia Vikander. And same thing where Joel Edgerton is like, yo, I'm going to go hunt, and I don't get to see enough of my place, so you explore my place, I'll hunt, we can split whatever the thing is, you just got to give me what you give me. So the first day, the wife is like, gives him a kiss, he gives the guy a kiss, and he's like, that is crazy. He gives him like a book and a kiss or something like that, and they have a feast. And that goes on for 3 days. And then, comes through each day, he gets a fucking boar or stag or whatever, and each day like it sort of escalates with the lady, and Gawain is kind of confused, but it's just like, oh shit, dude, I guess so. Listen, if she's coming, if we're doing it, we're doing it. But each day, like, she gives him 2 kisses, then she gives him 3 kisses, and he gives those kisses to the master, which is why in the movie, whenever Joel Edgerton just comes and kisses him in the mouth, it's like a little, it's just so, there's so many little nods that are so fucking cool to it, where Alicia Vikander is like, sometime, whenever she says, I've got this library of stories, and I'm like, hell, and I like these stories, but when I see an opportunity, I make them a little bit better. And I was like, hell yeah, that's David Lowery talking right to us. That's some cool guy shit right there. And then same thing with Joel Edgerton when he comes up and he kisses Dev Patel and is like, don't you want to come back? And Dev is like, get the fuck away from me. I thought that was great. But so then
That
he
guy
goes.
was such a good host.
Joel Edgerton?
Yeah, he was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And then his wife was like, obviously plays the same. Like, she played both.
Yep.
I mean, it's both like the lover, like prostitute, or
Yeah, probably
wasn't
something
clear
like
what
that.
She was
Probably a prostitute.
And then she played the lady.
Yeah.
And was it just like was that just like him an attraction, just seeing her as her, or like what's the explanation for that?
I mean, the explanation is that he probably put that on her. You know?
Yeah.
That outside of any sort of magic thing, but also he's on this sort of magic quest that his mom set up for him to finally fucking get his head out of his ass, because his mom is the one who called the Green Knight, and his mom is King Arthur's sister in this adaptation of it. So they probably conspired a little bit to get this fucking guy off his fucking ass and figure his shit out.
But it just backfired when you just fucking killed him.
Did it? Did we see his head come off?
The Green Knight?
No. Gawain. Did we see his head come off?
I don't remember. Does it cut to black or something?
Yeah. Because at the end of the original text, he goes to the Green Chapel, and he's like, hey, Green Knight, here I am. I'm ready to fucking go. Let's do this thing. Let's get it over with. The Green Knight is like, hell yeah, dude. Let's fucking get it, homie. And so...
And then he tries 3 times, right? Or
he tries 3 times, but like in the fight, he also like cut him 3 times. Because that was what it was, is like he cut him on the arm and was like, hey, fucking fight me. Cut him on the other arm. Hey, fucking fight me. And then he cut his head off. And so then the Green Knight does the same thing, where he does a little cut on his arm, and then he does a little cut on his arm, and then he just cuts him on the neck, and he reveals himself to be the guy who was the host. And it's like, it kind of turns into this like lesson of promiscuity a little bit. Promiscuity, and then like also like being truthful, and you know, the different values of honor and whatnot. And so it's,
so he's
to me,
able to learn.
He's able to learn, yeah.
So it's been over almost 2 weeks since I saw it. How does it end? Like, is it just a cut to black?
Yeah, the axe starts to come down, and I'm pretty sure it cuts to black.
Huh.
So it's like, knowing that, where it's just like, because he's like, I gave you the same wound. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to finish it the same way.
Guess they like the poignant, like subverting, or like the Game of Thrones like kind of mood of just like, I don't know.
Well, I think that it's like, in order to,
I mean, they definitely wanted that to be an option of interpretation without a doubt.
Yeah, because you have to accept death, because it's always around the corner. There's no, it's always around, and you can't live your life afraid of death. And you can't put up any protection or barriers for death, because it's always there. But
just don't decapitate knights. You say they'll do the same to you in a year's time.
Yeah. That also does seem like a pretty like simple, like, hey,
I'm too fucking practical for stuff like no, like, what is wrong with you? Like,
listen to the rules. Hey. It's like, listen to the rules. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the rules. Think about the rules for a second. And then, play by the rules that are there. The rules that are on the table. You don't have to go hard, bruh. He even says, King Arthur even says, "Do you know the rules?" Which again is just another illustration of his childishness and his desire to finish. Yeah.
What are the giants?
I don't know. I think they look cool, and it's like just showing how big the world is.
Makes a good trailer moment.
Yeah, I guess it's a good trailer moment, but I think too, a lot of that is like to kind of like underline sort of the way the world that we were in, and like that Gawain was finally seeing how big the world was, and how insignificant he was. But I also could be out of my ass. That's just how I saw it. That's one of the things that I think is great about this movie, and movies like this where it's just like, that's what I took away from it. That's probably some sort of like psychological profile that you could have on me. Whoever's listening to this be like, he's this kind of fucking person. You know, how you take this movie is like a psychological profile of what you are.
Could be.
You know, like a little fucking cinematic Rorschach test.
This is the standard. I wonder what the standard movie would look like for that kind of test. I don't know.
Probably nothing.
That-
I mean,
That could be an interesting, like a filmmaker partners with a psychologist and makes that.
what if it is that? What if this is that movie?
That's why this exists.
That's why this movie exists. Because it's like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe it's for America, and especially I don't know.
Yeah, I just made the cut. I feel like if you watch this and you don't, and you tune out, then maybe what does that say about you? I don't know. I didn't say anything. I'm not saying it.
What? Saying what?
I'm just making a joke. Oh, it's a film for intellectuals. If you don't get it, it means you're dumb. But
I wouldn't say that either. I think all of your points are valid too. I think it just, I don't know. As I'm getting older, it's like, I really like this movie. I think it's really great. You don't really like this movie so much? I think that's fine. You know? It's like,
I liked parts a lot. I really liked the ghost lady segment.
Okay.
That was like super compelling. I was into that. It was like that was like a little mini story in itself. You could just have a wandering guy on a quest finds.
That was like a little one
movie.
shot. That was like a one
Yeah.
shot. It was so funny too, especially like that was like a little one shot D&D where it's like, all right, well, you go to sleep in this house. Guess what? There's a ghost in this house, and you need to find her head.
Yeah. So that was just a fun little thing. I like that because it was super contained. Constantly knew what the goals were. I don't know. Just like it was very clear, and I enjoyed that a lot. The imagery was great, you know. And I think I mentioned the Harley Quinn ethereal eyeball dive. This had that where it was just ethereal and placeless.
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny that they were two movies back to back had like going into water, like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was fun in this. I don't hate that kind of trope, but I guess the way it was in Suicide Squad was like fresh in a weird way. It's like, oh, that's cool. It's cool to see that done.
It also
in a real sense in the world like it existed.
I feel like in Suicide Squad, yeah, like you just said, where it's just like this wasn't like in the Green Knight. It was definitely much more. It was definitely much more like, why is this pool so deep? You know, what's going on here? Oh, we're doing like a metaphor. Okay. But in Suicide Squad, in the Suicide Squad, it was like, oh, yeah, no, she's physically in that thing's eyeball. She's physically in it.
You know, yeah, and I guess to speak more to that, it was like a weird combination of like a cool, beautiful looking thing, cool, like well shot, nice colors, like obviously the floating in space. People fucking love that for some reason in film. So, and it looks good. So I mean, there's a reason why, but I lost my train of thought talking about what I was talking about. But it was just refreshing.
That's how much you hated this movie.
I had a good perspective, like a good fresh thought, and it was gone setting it up, talking about it. Moving on.
Because you were thinking about Harley Quinn going through that eyeball. You were like, yeah, that's better. I like that better.
Yeah. Yeah, man, in terms of like the technical stuff of this movie, just the way things look, costume design, all of that, I have zero criticism on it. I think it looks really good. The performances were great. And, you know, in a sense, it was like, yeah, it'd be cool to see more of it with a different pacing or something. Because I liked the production design a lot.
Yeah, the production design was really good. I think that was one of the things, is I was so fucking stoked to see Merlin as a fucking dirty Celtic wizard. I was like, fuck yeah. He's got fucking face tattoos.
When is Merlin in the movie?
He's never mentioned. He's never mentioned. It's whenever.
So it's just Willem Dafoe?
Huh?
So it's just Willem Dafoe?
No, I don't think it's Willem Dafoe.
Because I keep seeing, I have the trailers going in the background. They keep showing Willem Dafoe as Merlin.
I don't think that that's right. I could be wrong, but I don't, because it's like literally for like, he does like, it's just, and it's stuck with me because I fucking love it. And it's like right when something happens, and Arthur looks over to this dude who I am assuming is Merlin, but he's got like fucking eye crosses, and he's got like dirty fingernails and his long white beard, and he just kind of looks like how I imagined Merlin, you know, where he's just kind of like, especially now as I've gotten into like that sort of like fucking old magic looking shit. And and he just like the way that he does his magic, he like reads, he like closes his eyes and like everything sort of glows around him red for a second, and then he just looks at Arthur and he shakes his head, and that's it. That's all he's in the movie. But I was just he's got all these rings on his fingers. He's not a fucking goofy dude. He's like Radagast and fucking Gandalf all in one. And I was fucking stoked on it. It was really cool too to see King Arthur not as like a big hero, and I was just thinking about it too.
It was cool to see him at the twilight of his reign, you know?
Yeah.
It's like all heroes age, so that was a cool element to that.
But then to still have the thing that made him important, having him be like a great orator and like this like charismatic dude who's still like, just like people fucking love him, and he's like bringing it. Even as he's an old dude who's not very strong, and he was never really the strongest, like biggest fighter guy, but like his main thing was that he's like, I'm just like the fucking smartest, nicest dude who wants everyone to have a good time. That's my deal.
A good king.
Yeah. Which is like, and I was thinking, like, man, how fucking impactful would that be back then? You know, in the mid 8th century, where it's like someone who is actually like listens to people.
That'd be such a good king. I think.
You would?
If I went back in time, like just having the advanced knowledge I have, and just like, I don't know.
Okay.
Well, if you were plopped in, what kind of king would you be? Would you rule with like iron fist to keep people in line? Would you be like try and develop projects, and
I would
better
fuck
life
off.
for people?
I would fuck off, and I would fuck off. I would be
and not be a king.
I would be a good adventuring knight person. I would not be. I don't want that. I don't want to be a king of a whole group of people. I don't want that. I don't want to be in charge of a nation and make sure that people can eat. I will make sure that the giants stay chill. Like, hey, giants, stay chill. But I don't want to be a king.
That would be all you do is just keep the giants happy.
Hey,
is your
giants,
platform.
chill out. Calm down, giants. Calm down. That's it.
I mean,
I don't want to be a king.
Know what you're about. Yeah, everyone has the idealistic thing of being the noble guy, and I think King Arthur's kind of that standard that everyone measures himself to. So it's cool to see that, and it can be a boring and tried and true stuff, or tried and true trope. You know, you got the Captain America. You just have all these like noble, good people, but then you see him old and fragile. You know, and you see his flawed, someone of his blood, I guess, or whatever, his nephew. So it's like, you know, he's still what you know about him, but you're seeing him in some lights that make him, I don't know, a little bit less than, I guess, due to his legacy, due to his stature, and due to his legacy. Stature being old, legacy being Gawain. So maybe I don't know. That's just something I'm kind of finding as I speak, but that's just an interesting kind of way to present him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, he's the kind of character that could be kind of normal, be kind of boring.
Yeah. I mean, that's whenever you do. That's like whenever that character gets the most interesting is whenever it's like in Winter Soldier, where it's like hey, wait a second, you're going to put those values to the test and see how they translate across to other people and how well you can do as far as like, hey, come on, giants, I'm a king, okay? You know, come on, Gawain, fucking get your shit together, dude.
What would you do what would you have done to whip him into shape?
To get Gawain?
Yeah, if
into
you're King
shape?
Arthur and you have this ruly nephew, he's just being embarrassing to the family.
See, well, and that's why I say I would not be a good king, is because I would be like, let him die, dude. He's gonna do his thing. Shit, he's not my kid. I'm gonna have I don't know. I guess I'll have a kid with my, sister who dresses up as like this French lady who seduces me, and then eventually he'll kill me if I'm King Arthur.
Wait, is that what happens? Or
yeah, Mordred.
Yeah,
Mordred.
He has a kid.
Yeah, he doesn't ever have a kid with Guinevere.
But he does with his sister.
He has a with Morgana Le Fay, who is a witch. She disguises herself as like this person when she like asks for like help. Actually, no, it's not Morgana. It's one of the older sisters early in his reign, and then Morgana like raises Mordred, who eventually is like, hey, what's up? I'm your kid. Let me fucking rule your shit. And he's a part of the shit for a little while. And then eventually, whenever Lancelot finally makes his break for Guinevere and is like, Guinevere, let's just go to France. We love each other. And Guinevere's like, but I love Arthur. And he's like, that's great, but we're not getting any younger. We gotta go. I love Arthur too. But we gotta go, bro. We gotta do this. Because Arthur's been like on this quest in his twilight years to try and find the Holy Grail. Because he's like, I've fucking accomplished everything. Let's find the Holy Grail.
Huh.
Yeah.
They should.
I'm pretty sure Gawain is not his blood. But it works for this story.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit anyway. Like, that's the thing. It's like, it's all just.
Was it meant to mean anything, or is it just like, hey, here's a fun story, like in Old England or whatever the hell? Like, what purpose did these serve at the time? Like the legends.
Well, they were the. I mean, you could extrapolate it out, and again, I haven't studied this, like really, other than just like a fucking person who's like, I like this. This is better than Sword in the Stone. I like Sword in the Stone, the Once and Future King, actually. But like what they did with the Disney stuff and the Keira Knightley, Clive Owen, Guy Ritchie, get out of here. Miss me with it.
We should watch the Clive Owen one with Keira Knightley.
Okay.
I've seen that before. I've seen it. I had the video game too, I think.
I
liked it as a kid. Like someone was like, "Yeah, it's fun, stupid action. I can understand this Arthur legend." I don't know.
Yeah, no, and it's fine. I mean, it's fine because it's like it kind of like takes the Arthur legend and then grounds it in like well, this is probably what actually happened, because the fact of the matter is King Arthur was a real person, but it was like I'm pretty sure like mid 7th, mid 8th century, so 700s, 600s. And I mean, I think the reason that those stories took hold were kind of like and I haven't studied this, but in the height of like the Black Plague and stuff like that, same way that fucking, superheroes existed. It's just like sort of like this thing that people could hold on to as like sort of real, but then the further away you got it got more and more like Camelot, this mythical place that was like perfect, where Garden of Eden, like Merlin and King Arthur had a pact with the weather where they could make sure that it was the right temperature. It was when the world was perfect. And then being a man, it came to an end. King Arthur and Guinevere and Lancelot, it came to an end because of their own hubris, which is mirrored in this same story. Like, it again, the like flash forward for Gawain is like essentially King Arthur's story. Fucking great stuff.
Really?
Yeah, the flash forward is essentially that, where it's like, I mean, it's essentially like a real fast retelling of his story, and it pulls on those same emotional beats.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. I really fucking like it. Makes me I'm chuffed about it, mate.
Did you get any kind of inspiration, or like you watched it and you want to get more of it? Like, did you watch other things? Like, and what were they?
No, not really. I mean, it was perfect for me because I've been waiting so long for like that sort of. I didn't want to try because there's nothing else like it for me, So I didn't really seek anything out because that was what I wanted. As far as like some weird ass Arthurian legend, like playing with those images, those like morality tales, the inevitable failure of man and the acceptance of it. It was beautiful to me. It was beautiful. So there's nothing that I have that can compare to it.
Well, I know I'm jumping the gun, but what did you give this? I'm curious.
I mean,
pretty high. Or where does this fall?
I would say that this falls, but it's tough because especially my first time watching it is just clear, like just pure emotional reaction. Pure emotional reaction is like probably like 4.5, close to 5, just because I fucking love it. If I went back and watched it again, I don't know, So it's like without that emotional reaction of like that 11-year-old falling asleep listening to fucking King Arthur stories and stuff, or reading the various King Arthur books and whatnot that I read, it was like without that emotional reaction, I don't know. I still like it. I still like it a lot, but I haven't like. Ooh, how do I rate this like as a film? But I would say like 4.5, 5, bud.
Dang.
I jam on it, dude.
I mean, I didn't like it. I mean, I gave it 3 stars. So that's like a perfectly adequate score.
Yeah.
It's like good, which I think replicates that. Maybe my expectations were high. Maybe it just was a matter of me appreciating it and realizing it just didn't gel with me.
That's fine.
I have like my history of King Arthur is just very basic, like the sword and the stone, him taking it out and being like, I'm the king, and being a good king like that. I don't have any attachment to this stuff. So that's a huge outlet or huge aspect that's missing from me that that you have, or I'm sure a lot of other people.
Well, I don't even know how many other people too, because it's like that's a pretty. I don't know. It's just like that's a pretty. That's a pretty like niche thing, because it's like, oh yeah, Sword in the Stone, fuck yeah, dude, King Arthur. I don't know what other sort of like media, but it's like kind of the same way you get like Robin Hood, where it's like, oh fuck yeah, Robin Hood, and then like the sort of like again from that same sort of era of stories where like the inevitable disillusionment of Robin Hood as his like men turn on him. And, like, he ends up dying cold and alone in the woods, unable to, find help from anybody. That's the end of Robin Hood. Not that he fucking goes off into the woods and is the best. I mean, that's what time does. Is you only, and there's no protection. Just going back to the Green Knight, there's no protection from time. There's no protection from death. You can't. There's no magic that will protect you.
I'm reading The Old Guard. I read the first kind of graphic novel or collection of comics. They made a Netflix movie about it.
Yeah, with Charlize Theron.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet. Obviously, it probably wasn't that good from the lack of buzz around it. But the graphic novel so far, I got the second one, and I think their work, like the third one, is currently being published as comics. But it was so good. Like, it's up my alley. But it plays like a lot of interesting stuff with time and like the meaninglessness of time after like living for 6,000 years and not even knowing what your family looks like, or how things like you lived up through ancient and medieval, like all these times, and then now you're here today and you're seeing how fast shit's moving.
Yeah.
Comparatively, and it's like the world's smaller, but the world's getting smaller and it's moving faster. It's like a really interesting concept. And then the passage of time of family and that, or just like seeing your youngest son die as an old man, and you're just like still chilling as your age.
You're like, oh shit.
Super tons of interesting concept in that story.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if it's a super direct thing, but it's just like time is a
flat circle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's constant, but it's always interesting to see it be explored, and any kind of passage of time, be it the last 5-10 minutes of that movie, or,
yeah. Or even,
or
I mean,
maybe,
he hinted at that. They hinted at that too whenever they did whenever he was chained up, and they were like, they did like, because I saw it as like him, like, and he saw the fucking days go by and his bones decayed and the forest grew up around him, and he knew that if he did nothing, he would have to fucking, when it was like doing that like slow pan back around through.
Yeah.
They hinted at that.
That was interesting.
Yeah. I just really saw this movie as like, this is the synesthesia of the book, which is also why it was like the colors were so different from place to place. Yeah.
What's that word mean?
Synesthesia. It's like when you see colors, like when you see colors associated with feelings, or like, like, oh, this is a, this is kind of like a brown rust conversation, where it's like the feeling that you get, the feeling that is evoked from the words, the feeling of the color that is evoked from a description of something.
It's like seeing with smelling. Or it's like when you smell something, you associate something because you can physically smell it. When you're seeing it, I'm making up my own definition from what I'm hearing from you, but also way more complicated and roundabout than just being direct about it.
Synesthesia is a neurological condition in which information meant to stimulate one of your senses stimulates several of your senses. People who have synesthesia are called synesthetes. Synesthetes often see music as colors when they hear it, and taste textures like round or pointy when they eat foods. You know what I mean?
Huh. That sounds like that could be like a D&D like tribe or cult or something. The synesthetes.
Synesthetes. Yeah. I think so.
So what did you not like? I want to hear if you have any negatives about this movie. Did you not like anything? Anything could be a little bit better, or there's one part that was like, yeah, I wish it wasn't there. Or I don't know. What have you?
I don't know. I mean, right now, a lot of it's just like interesting decisions. Like, again, to have the decision for the ghost to give him the axe. It just feels like really deliberate stuff. And then like the decision to show the coming down. Yeah. I was like, okay,
very
wow.
Stark, like,
whoa, all right. All of it, like,
you don't
again.
You don't see Splooge often.
No, you do not.
The most I've seen Splooge is in comedies or something, but it's a comedy,
But it's always, I mean, even then it's rare. And it's never like, I don't know.
That's like, it felt like that's like kind of a staple of A24 that I think is.
Cum? Or Splooge? Excuse me.
No, not that. But like, there's just like these perverse things that you just don't typically see. I don't know, like a kid getting beheaded, or in Midsummer, like literally almost everything.
Yeah.
And then in this, that's Splooge. Like it always has like they fucking go for it. They do it.
Yeah. There's no editor. Like the editor, anyone's like, go do it.
Which is fine, and it's good, whatever. But it's like it's at the third or fourth one by now. It's like, okay, I feel like when is that kind of moment going to happen? And it almost, to me, it cheapens the effect of it being shocking. You know, it's like, oh, there it was. There's the one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it was interesting. I felt like it was like, even as I was like sort of like shocked by it or whatever, but it's like that was the point. But it also did cheapen the moment that he had with her. Because how often in that visualization of the intimate moment do you see that? You know, not very often, because you're not left with the human element of it. And then when you're presented with the human element of it and the repercussions of what happens, then it's like, oh, okay. And especially then coupled with her reaction where she was like, fucking coward, or whatever she did, it was just like immediately deflating, you know? And
Yeah.
it was, I mean,
It's obviously probably was the point, but it definitely.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, bring it back to Suicide Squad. It in a comedy, you know, it shows like them thrashing around, and obviously pretty much cuts out the sex scene, and then it cuts right to the kind of, not indignified, but just like the logistics of where the fuck's my underwear, and like putting it on and walking away, and like the other person is probably very much watching you be naked, and like the stark contrast of like the carnal lust and attraction, and then, you know, the post nut syndrome, I guess, essentially, of just like
the post nut clarity or whatever.
Yeah, the clarity. That's it. Yeah, it's like that, just indignant. Like, oh yeah, that's just a butt or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, just so that's a funny, like that's where that worked. I mean, that's where it's like that's a comedy thing, you know, almost.
Yeah.
Where here, obviously, it was done for the reasons of grounding it, you know, and shitting on this guy, but
yeah. Well, and his decisions too, I think, more than it's
Yeah.
just like, you fucked up again, you fucking
Yeah.
asshole.
it's like a tangible thing.
Yeah.
There, you know, it's like there's your mistake or whatever, or
Mhm.
there's your weakness. I don't know.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's a great way to put it. There's your weakness. You know?
All right there on the scarf. Just
On the scarf that your
just
mom
out
gave
there.
you that I then found for you or something.
yeah,
mean,
who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. What didn't I like about this? I didn't like, well, I did though. I don't know. It's like the opening shot, because it's all like a little picture book that I need to put together, like the puzzles of. Because it's like the opening shot where we have the goose fighting off the lamb or something like that. I think we had like the tribe of geese that were like, hey, fuck out of here, lamb, or sheep. And then there was the lady who was like, oh, we're worried about something. And then the husband got his sword and put the lady on the horse so she could ride away. And then we cut inside. And it kind of, again, that set up this sort of like fluid nature of our storytelling. But it was still like, that's the one piece that I haven't necessarily been like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that one? You know? What's that fucking puzzle piece connected to? What emotion is that? So, I don't know. I think that's why I like this. And the numerous people that I've talked to about it, because I really just like, as you know, I only have more to gain from it. Even by talking to you, where you didn't like it, I still like. I like hearing the different perspectives on this thing that is not clear. You know, I think it's really interesting. But everybody that I've talked to have been like, I really was thinking about this stupid movie that I didn't know that I was gonna think about, and I didn't even like it, but I was thinking about it a lot, and I was like, nice.
Well, that's where I differ, because I didn't. I moved
go.
on, I guess. Yeah.
There you go, dude. That's interesting in and of itself.
Yeah. But that's just me. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
What have you been watching?
I just finished The Night Manager, which was a Tom Hiddleston, Hugh Laurie, Elizabeth Debicki, Olivia Colman, like a miniseries, I guess. It was like six episodes. It's on Amazon Prime. It's all right.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's like this. It's like a little espionage type deal. Fun stuff.
Okay. Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's fun. And then I started watching The White Lotus. Oh my god, I finished Dave. I fucking love Dave so much.
What was that? That sounds familiar.
Dave, it's Lil Dicky's TV show.
Oh yeah, I've had some other friends. Tony, he loved that show.
Yeah, I fucking, oh my god, it was weird. It's like I put that show down for a little bit, and then picked it back up, and I wasn't able to stop.
Huh?
Yeah.
And then I've been out of a show kick for a while. I'm like in movie mode. It's like
man.
I kind of cycle every 2 years.
Yeah. No, I understand.
So I'm in movie world, but I did finish the Bad Batch, Star
Ooh.
Wars,
How was that?
and it was good.
Okay.
I fucking love the gravity they put on the season finales so far, and these like between the Clone Wars and this, and even Rebels. It's just like they're such good. They're so good at building up the emotions, and the stakes, and the sacrifice, and the changing, because things change so much, particularly from the Clone Wars, and like, there's. Do you plan on watching Bad Batch?
No.
So the Empire like destroys Camino, like they strip it and get rid of all the scientists, and
Oh my
and
God.
they just destroy it. And like this particular squad of clones, they just watch it, and it's the closest thing they've had to a home.
Yeah.
And it's like gets destroyed, so it's pretty heavy, and it's like shot very, very dramatically, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's cool stuff. And then,
Damn, dude.
in the Clone Wars, you have like Ahsoka and the Order 66 and all that. So
I mean, that stuff is
Good
just
stuff.
built for fucking drama.
yeah.
It's so good.
And then I should have mentioned this in the last one, but I watched Big Trouble in Little China.
Ooh.
I fucking loved. Obviously, some really like off-color stuff that hasn't aged well in there, but
Yeah.
the movie is excellent and ages so well in terms of being a stupid ride.
Yeah.
I enjoy it a lot, and it's just funny how much they keep going back in to go do something, and then someone's left behind, and then they go back. It's just like, I don't know. I like that movie a lot. That was a very pleasant surprise. And then Grand Budapest Hotel, which we'll be talking about soon as well.
Yeah.
So I won't say too much.
Don't say too much. Don't say too much. Well, hell yeah, dude. That's good. So you gave Green Knight 3.5 stars?
Yeah, I gave it three.
Oh, 3 stars.
say-
You gave it 3 stars. I gave you. I attributed an extra half star. I apologize.
No, you're good. I was trying to think of a clever thing. I give it 3 heads. The girl that he visited at the lake or whatever, the knights, and then Sir Gawain's 3 heads.
Ooh. I'm gonna give it an official 4.5 stained belts.
I was gonna say that, but I didn't know how to put it more delicately.
Stained belts.
Cum rag. Yeah.
Oh,
stained belts.
okay. Stiff. 4.5 stiff belts. Everybody,
Stiff?
stiff stained
Ew.
belts. Ugh.
Stiffened.
Stiffened stained belts.
Stiffened.
I got my
stained
stiffened stained belt.
belts. Oh, God. All right. Well, that was the Green Knight. If you guys want to watch it, don't let my unenthusiasm dissuade you. I think it's a unique movie. It's worth watching if you're even remotely consider yourself a fan of cinema or anything like that. Definitely go check it out.
A24 is doing some sort of like you can stream it from home thing on the 18th.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there's that free plug for them.
Yeah, this is coming out timely enough too.
Yeah.
So it'll be tomorrow. So
Yeah.
tomorrow, the 18th, today's the 17th that this is live, you can watch it
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah,
Find it out.
hit us up on Twitter and tell us about what you think about King Arthur, and if I'm sure there's some Arthurian legend scholars who are definitely listening to this who are like, that guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. How dare he fucking like this shit? He don't know what fucking going on. Fuck that dude. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry I got things wrong, but I like what I like,
Hey, don't apologize.
Hey, yeah, you know what? Never mind. I don't apologize.
Well, you guys know where to find us and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
We do have merch, so go check that out. JTmerch.com.
Yeah.
So letters JTmerch.com. Check
Ooh.
that out.
One more time,
I dropped
JTmerch.com.
One more time, JTmerch.com.
JTmerch.com.
JTMR. No, that can't spell right. JTMERCH.com.
Perfect.
All right. Laters.
Love you.